Barron Trump has spent most of his life as one of the world's most famous kids. But what do you really know about the life of the president's son? Will Barron Trump follow in his father's footsteps and run for president one day? Well, that remains to be seen. It goes without saying that he's changed a lot since his early days growing up in Trump Tower. Melania and Donald Trump married on January 22nd, 2005 in Palm Beach, Florida. While Donald already had children from his two previous marriages, the couple welcomed their first son and Melania's first child on March 20th, 2006. Interestingly, Barron Trump was a U.S. citizen before his mother was since he was born in New York City. He was immediately a citizen of the United States. Melania, who hails from Slovenia, didn't become a citizen until July 2006 after landing a green card in 2001. Melania and Donald have always made headlines for their unique relationship. Say what you will about Donald's political views, but the couple certainly seems to take each other in stride. In 2000, Trump told Larry King on CNN, "There's nothing like a good marriage, and there's nothing like having children. I have 4 great children if you have the money. Having children is great." What was Trump's perspective on daddy duties after saying that he wouldn't be dealing with diapers or making dinner? He said, "I may never even see the kids, frankly." No, y'all, okay? No, she will be an unbelievable mother. I'll be a good father. What does Melania think about Donald's disinterest in being a hands-on dad? In a 2012 interview with Parenting, she said of her husband, "He didn't change diapers, and I am completely fine with that. It's very important to know the person you're with, and we know our roles." Barron was baptized in the same church where his parents got married the year before he received the sacrament on December 8th, 2006 in Palm Beach, Florida, at the Episcopal Church of Bethesda by the Sea. Melania's parents and sister were present, as were Donald's children and 5 bodyguards, according to People. Donald himself is a Presbyterian. Interestingly, Melania's religious beliefs were unknown for much of her public life. But after her visit to the Vatican in 2017, the world discovered that she is Catholic while extremely private about her faith. This wasn't the first time that Melania's life was influenced by her Catholic background, although her wedding was held in an Episcopal church. She walked down the aisle to the song Ave Maria while holding a rosary, while Barron's baptism was also in the Episcopal church. It's unclear how much of his upbringing was shaped by either parent's religion for Melania, though it's evident that religion is deeply significant to her after the papal visit. She said on Twitter that she would never forget it. Barron's access to the finer things goes beyond even what we might expect of a child born to a real estate mogul comedian. Ellen DeGeneres gifted baby Barron a golden stroller that came with a little chandelier that dangled above it, according to People, while the gift might be a bit garish according to some folks. Taste Melania found it amusing. She said it's fun. It makes you laugh. People reported that Barbara Walters sent him a massive stuffed dog, while he was also gifted with onesies sporting the catchphrase made famous by Donald Trump's reality show. The Apprentice. You're fired. When Barron was a little older and had begun speaking, Melania and Donald appeared on CNN with Larry King once again, who asked if Barron had fired anyone. Melania joked he did. Yes, actually he did. He's firing the housekeeper and nanny many times. Barron's living arrangements as a baby were an education in lavishness. He grew up in the Trump apartment on 5th Avenue in New York City, and his quarters were on the floor above his parents' bedroom, according to People. This space came with a nursery, kitchen, and living room and quarters for a nanny, as well as some for mom, if the Trumps were worried about baby noises waking them up. There was no need, Melania said of her son. He's a very good baby. He's not like a crybaby. He's calm, and it's fantastic. Melania obviously thinks highly of Donald Trump and has made this clear throughout their relationship. At the Republican National Convention in 2016, she said of her husband, "He's tough when he has to be, but he's also kind and fair and caring," after saying that a lot of people aren't necessarily able to see this side of him, but that it's always there nonetheless. She said, "That is one reason I fell in love with him to begin with. When Donald was first elected president, the hashtag #FreeMelania went viral. But it eventually became evident that she didn't want any liberation. The two seem to understand each other and by all accounts are much more united than people give them credit for. This admiration for Donald has melded into the love Melania has for their son, largely because Donald and Barron appear to be so similar. Melania affectionately called her son a very strong-minded, very special boy while speaking to Parenting magazine, and said he is independent and opinionated and knows exactly what he wants. Barron has also always admired his dad. When he was 5 years old, he wanted to be like daddy, according to Melania. She shared that Barron enjoyed building things and drawing as a kid, and on their trips he could recall everything in light of this. Barron's nickname became Little Donald, since he takes after his old man. So much as he grew older, Barron revealed a love of sports. Melania confirmed this when she spoke at Liberty University in 2018, saying that Barron was all into sports. His team affiliation is notably international, as he was spotted at the White House wearing an Arsenal Football Club jersey, a soccer team hailing from Islington, London, England. He even played on teams in the DC area in September 2017. Sports writer Pablo Iglesias Maurer tweeted that Barron was on the team roster for the DC United under-12 team. He wrote, Barron Trump is playing at RFK tomorrow. No, really seriously. Not kidding. Barron has also played for the Arlington Soccer Association's under-14 team in light of ongoing injury reports around the NFL. Donald Trump was asked by CBS News' Margaret Brennan whether or not he would allow Barron to play football. He said, if he wanted to, yes. Would I steer him that way? No, I wouldn't. And he actually plays a lot of soccer. He's liking soccer. I hate to say it because I love to watch football. While Donald Trump's famous confession that he never changed Barron's diaper when he was a baby might not compare to a lot of people's parenting experiences, Donald did stress that he liked a hands-on dad approach in other ways. He told People in 2006, I love to feed the baby not because I have to, but just because I love it. A lot of times early in the morning, I'll take care of him over the years. I have changed a diaper, but not on Barron. As Barron grew up, he became the typical reticent teenager. Author Jonathan Karl described an experience in his book, Betrayal, the Final Act of the Trump Show, where Donald spoke to reporter Zeke Miller about Karl himself. Karl quoted Donald as saying, Jonathan is very cool. He is like my son Donald, then pretended to speak with his son, imitating him. As such, do you love your dad? I don't know, but he does. He's too cool, the kids. So we've got a hunch that Barron might be the shy type. At least with his dad, Barron's relationship with his mother is vastly more documented than the one he has with Donald. As Barron became more of a public figure thanks to his father's presidency and previous celebrity, the media couldn't help but notice his connection to his mother since they were so heavily photographed. Bruce Durham, a body language expert, spoke to Express about Barron's growing independence in light of his close bond with Melania. Analyzing a photo of the two, he explained, Barron has a slight smile with his fingers splayed and thumb in the same position, showing confidence. His mother sees this and is happy enough to let him grow into this moment. No hand contact needed this time. Just direct eye contact and the smile of a mother that is proud of her son. Barron's arrival at the White House was a novel experience in terms of presidential families. Prior presidents had children living in the White House, but the last few underage occupants were daughters. He's the first son to live in the White House since 1963, when John F. Kennedy Jr. was just 3 years old. While Barron certainly got a unique adolescence, thanks to his dad's political aspirations, it doesn't look like it was always an easy experience being a kid in the White House in 2010 when Kathy Griffin created an image of herself holding a severed head of Donald Trump. Barron found the visual traumatizing, and understandably so. He was only 11 at the time and allegedly was deeply agitated by the photo Trump shot back with a tweet, Kathy Griffin should be ashamed of herself. My children, especially my 11-year-old son Barron, are having a hard time with this. Sick. In the same year, a writer for Saturday Night Live, Katie Rich, tweeted, Barron will be this country's first homeschool shooter. This tweet was also met with outrage both by the White House and those outside of politics. Chelsea Clinton, the daughter of Donald's political rival Hillary Clinton, jumped on Twitter to defend the president's son, writing, Barron Trump deserves the chance every child does to be a kid. Shortly after both Donald and Melania tested positive for COVID, and Melania wrote on the White House website that her main concern was Barron Trump contracting the virus. Unfortunately, he did shortly after his parents tested positive, Melania wrote on the White House website. My fear came true when he was tested again and it came up positive. Luckily, he is a strong teenager and exhibited no symptoms. In one way, I was glad the three of us went through this at the same time, so we could take care of one another and spend time together. Indeed, Barron had a much lighter symptom load than either of his parents. Melania wrote that she went through a roller coaster of symptoms while Donald Trump had to be hospitalized. The president's mood and now is much more freaked out than what it had been, is immediately upon diagnosis. He remained there for several days due to coughing, congestion, and fever, according to the New York Times. So what does Barron Trump think about Donald Trump's political life? The young boy was frequently out of the spotlight and obviously never gave interviews, but enough evidence came forward to show that Barron found his dad to be too hard in some moments in Donald's debates with President Joe Biden. Barron, who was 14 at the time, felt that his father was too bombastic, according to Molly Hemingway's book, rigged how the media, big tech, and the Democrats seized our elections. Donald said people thought I was too belligerent. I will say my own son. Barron said, Dad, you were too tough. You didn't have to keep interrupting him. The oil industry pollutes significantly. I see, here's the deal, but that's a big statement. Well, if you let me finish the statement, in fact, as Politico notes, Donald's children, as well as Melania Trump herself, urged him to present a more presidential persona ahead of the 2016. Trump's older children famously appeared alongside him both on the campaign trail and in the White House, but Barron stayed out of the spotlight and away from the microphone on account of how young he was. Body language expert Bruce Durham spoke with the Mirror about the information he could glean from photos of Barron and his parents at political events. He explained, I think it is quite sad and sweet that Barron is looking at the floor in both photos. It must be hard for any young adult to be in that position. Part of the protection of Donald Trump's youngest son involves keeping him out of the public eye as much as possible. However, Barron's notable absence from major events during his father's presidency raised some questions, such as how he was not with his parents when they left the White House on their last day. In addition, he was nowhere to be found when Donald issued his final address as president at Joint Base Andrews, while Trump's other children, as well as Melania Trump, were there to witness it. Meanwhile, Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner brought their children, and many of Donald's other grandchildren were present for the send-off. So have a good life. We will see you soon. Thank you very much. Height might be an odd thing to make headlines for, but Barron went viral when he visited New York City in July 2021, and the groundbreaking news was that he got huge. He's a whopping 6'7". He and Melania Trump were photographed leaving Trump Tower, and the comparison of Barron next to his mother, who is 5'11", was striking. Donald Trump is 6'3". Barron now towers over all of Donald's older children, so they can't quite call him the baby of the family anymore. The Uber Facts X account was all over the news and pointed out that Barron is over a foot taller than the average 15-year-old. While some people were signing Barron up for the NB, others followed the ongoing request to keep someone so young out of the spotlight. One user wrote, maybe don't post pictures of underage kids, no matter who their parents are. Factoid is a talking point for Trump himself, though, who mentioned Barron's height at the North Carolina GOP convention in the summer of 2021. Clearly, he's come a long way from the little boy in the golden stroller. He might be the youngest in the family, but Barron is every bit of a key figure in the Trump dynasty. Even more, he is now seemingly following in the footsteps of his older siblings, who have long played significant roles in their father's political career. Back in November 2022, when Donald Trump launched his 2024 presidential bid, Barron was visibly present at the event, showing support for his father, but even when he is not physically present in the room with his father, Barron remains just as significant in his father's political affairs. During Donald's post-indictment speech at his Mar-a-Lago residence, he gave a shout-out to all his kids, including Barron, he stated, and Barron will be great someday. He's tall and he's smart, speaking to people. In March 2023, an insider described Melania Trump as a doting mother, revealing that the First Lady remained focused on Barron amid Donald Trump's legal drama. The source explained Barron has always been a first priority in Melania's life. Of course, she is worried and concerned about the legal issues, but she has not done anything more to protect Barron now than she ever did. She has always put him first. She is a good mother, eh? This comment reinforces a previous claim by body language expert Bruce Durham, who told Express in 2020 that despite what was often expected of him as the president's son, Melania made sure to always look out for Barron. He said she knows he has a role there, what he needs to do, but also how to look after her only son with a mothering parent. Child setup. She cares more about her son despite her ever-lingering protection. However, the First Lady is reportedly also happy to allow Barron to wield some control. We don't choose our parents, and Barron Trump certainly didn't choose such a public life. These are some of the hardships Donald Trump's youngest child has faced. When Melania Trump found out that she was pregnant with her first child, it came as a bit of a surprise given that Donald already had 4 grown children from previous relationships. Neither of Barron's parents were in a hurry to start a family together. In fact, when Melania told her husband that she was pregnant, he wasn't exactly ecstatic. As she told People in 2006, he came home and I told him he'd be a daddy. And his reaction was, at first he needed to take it in. It was a real surprise. Meanwhile, Donald recalled being surprised merely because the pregnancy happened so fast. He explained, I expected we were going to have children, so I wasn't totally surprised, but I was surprised by the speed of it. And while Barron's dad did soon come around to the idea of having another baby in his life, his son's birth clearly didn't factor into Donald's plans too much. Barron was born on March 20th, 2006. In that same year, his dad allegedly had two extramarital affairs, filmed a season of The Apprentice, and publicly made inappropriate cracks about his other kids. If Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her reportedly. He wasn't even in the delivery room when Barron was born. When his dad was first elected as president, Barron probably didn't realize just how much things were about to change aside from moving out of New York City for the first time since he was born. Barron was going to be living in the White House, followed around by the Secret Service, and he would become a target for every paparazzi lens within filming distance. Indeed, it was all a bit intimidating for the then 10-year-olds. As Donald told people in November 2016, he does love New York and he loves his school, not so much living in the White House. I can help so many young people. And that's when he really starts to understand that it's a good thing, not a bad thing, but it's a little scary for him because he thinks he is going to be taken away from his friends when he moved into the White House. Barron had everything any kid could ever dream of wanting. But despite having a bowling alley, a swimming pool, and a movie theater within walking distance of his bedroom, becoming the first son wasn't exactly an easy transition. Nevertheless, Donald and Melania did whatever they could to ensure that Barron wasn't completely in the public eye. As the White House press office said in a statement after the inauguration, it is a long-standing tradition that the children of presidents are afforded the opportunity to grow up outside of the political spotlight. Any fear Barron felt after his father's conviction was surely overshadowed when Donald Trump became the target of an assassination attempt during an outdoor rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. Barron was home in Florida when he heard the news. He's outside playing tennis, and somebody ran up. Barron, your father's been shot. Of course, Donald survived the altercation with little more than a bloody ear to show for it. Just imagine what that experience must have been like for Barron as a teenage boy who seems to accept his father despite his many controversies. The confusion and fear Barron must have felt in the moments following the rally was surely traumatic. Barron may have been used to having a security detail around his family at various times throughout his life, but having private security guards or a police escort from the NYPD is far different from having the Secret Service follow you wherever you go. It was undoubtedly an adjustment for Barron when his dad was confirmed as the Republican presidential nominee, and things only got more intense from there. Since becoming the first son, Barron hasn't been able to go anywhere without someone in a suit discreetly keeping an eye on him and his surroundings. Even after leaving the White House in 2021, Barron still had this layer of protection. In fact, at the start of the school year at Oxbridge Academy, the school's head sent a letter to the parents letting them know that the undercover agents would be on school property according to the former President's Protection Act of 2012, while former presidents receive Secret Service protection for life. Their children are protected until the age of 16. Admittedly, a struggling marriage isn't exactly a unique or tragic situation, but Barron's parents' marriage has been making headlines for years, and that's where the hardship really comes into play. Rumors about Donald and Melania Trump's marriage have run rampant, with all kinds of reports that the two can't stand each other and that Melania has been wanting to file for divorce. While a lot of that speculation is just tabloid fodder, some of the chatter actually comes from people who have or had ties with the Trump family. One of these sources is Omarosa Manigault. Newman developed a working relationship with Donald when she was on The Apprentice and was later brought on as a White House official. She told The Independent in 2020, Melania is counting every minute until he is out of office, and she can divorce. If Melania were to try to pull the ultimate humiliation and leave while he's in office, he would find a way to punish her, of course. Melania and Donald's union is still intact, but that fact hasn't quelled any speculation about their lives behind the scenes. We don't know how much news Barron is consuming on a daily basis, but as a college student, he's not the impressionable youngster he was when his dad became president. He also has the influence of people around him who might bring some unsavory things to his attention. Regardless, it can't be fun to hear that your parents are wildly unhappy in their marriage. Least of all from tabloids or on platforms like TikTok, he's surely having a hard enough time getting a normal college experience, and having rumors about such personal matters broadcast for the world to see would take its toll on anyone. There is one thing Melania Trump taught her son Barron that Donald Trump absolutely never could, and even the president would agree. That's the case. Although Barron is known for having a few impressive skills, including drumming and golfing, the teenage son of the president is not known for being much of a talker, at least not in public, choosing instead to stay under the radar. So the fact that he speaks multiple languages isn't something lots of people may know, though it also may not be a huge surprise given that he was largely raised by someone whose native language isn't English. In 2009, Melania told people that the young Barron spoke 3 languages: English, French, and her native tongue, Slovenian. This makes sense, as scientific studies have confirmed that children who grow up speaking more than one language are easily able to become fluent in them. given that they have not yet passed the critical period after which learning languages becomes far more difficult. Whether he speaks French has not been confirmed, as he has never done so in public, and Melania's own proficiency in the tongue has been called into question in 2020. Mary Jordan, author of an unauthorized biography of the First Lady, The Art of Her Deal, revealed that there was little evidence to suggest that Melania spoke any other languages besides English and Slovakian. She does, however, know a few basic phrases in French and Italian. Donald Trump is not known for taking an active involvement in his children's upbringings with his first wife, Ivana Trump, even saying that she essentially raised their 3 children by herself as a result. It may be unsurprising to learn that at least at 4 years old, Barron Trump had spent so much time with his mother that he had even developed a Slovenian accent. This was quite apparent in a 2010 Larry King live clip, in which the then 4-year-old Barron spoke about his daily routine looking like his father in a button-down shirt and jacket, but sounding like his mother. "I like my suitcase. I have to go to school now." Yeah, Melania told King that Barron spent most of his time with her. At least one of Donald Trump's other children is multilingual. Ivana Trump, also an immigrant from Eastern Europe, taught her eldest child, Donald Jr., her native language of Czech, which he speaks fluently. She attempted to teach it to her daughter, Ivanka Trump, as well, though it did not seem to stick with her. Barron Trump may live his life out of the public eye, but he's still attacked by his dad's critics, from being targeted by a Hollywood icon to threats against his life. Donald Trump's media-shy son can't escape public scrutiny. There are many in the mainstream media, Hollywood and academia, who hold disdain for Donald Trump. That's not exactly a secret, and the feeling is definitely mutual. But unfortunately, some have dragged an innocent child into things. Even before Barron Trump was in the White House, Rosie O'Donnell was criticized for baselessly insinuating that he was autistic. Then, during Trump's 2019 impeachment hearing, Barron got another unfortunate shout-out. Stanford law professor Pamela Karlan said in her testimony, "So while the president can name his son Barron, he can't make him a baron." The joke bombed, however. As it turns out, entering a 13-year-old boy into the impeachment record wasn't that necessary. Melania Trump hit back on Twitter, and Karlan apologized later in the hearing by saying, "It was wrong of me to do that, but I do regret having said that." Actor Peter Fonda was a counterculture icon in the 1960s. He wrote and starred in the groundbreaking New 69 cult classic Easy Rider about 3 stoner hippies motorcycling aimlessly across America. Fonda, who died in 2019 at the age of 79, was a progressive icon. But in 2018, the actor took his disdain for conservatives out on a child, tweeting, "In all caps, we should rip Barron Trump from his mother's arms and put him in a cage with pedophiles and see if mother will stand up against the giant ass she's married to." An outraged Melania Trump reported to the Secret Service. Donald Trump was justifiably angry too, realizing that Barron was obviously not involved in a controversial zero-tolerance U.S.-Mexico border policy. Peter Fonda issued an apology to CBS News, writing, "I went way too far. It was wrong, and I should not have done it." While visiting the White House in 2019, Mongolian President Katmajan Batula came bearing an actual live horse for the then 13-year-old Barron. The animal's name is Victory, which was apparently decided by Donald Trump, according to NBC News at the time. Then White House Press Secretary Stephanie Grisham tweeted out that the first family was very grateful for the gift, but then revealed the horse was going to remain in Mongolia. Melania Trump made headlines in 2017 when she failed to move into the White House immediately after Donald Trump's inauguration. Melania's reasoning behind not moving right away was that she wanted Barron to finish his school year at Columbia Grammar and Preparatory School in Manhattan. "I let him be who he is. He's my child." Not surprisingly, once Melania and Barron did join Donald, the Trumps found an equally lavish school for their son. In May 2017, Melania revealed that the 11-year-old would attend St. Andrew's Episcopal School in Maryland. The school is well known for its hefty price, charging $46,980,000 for students in middle school for the 2023 to 2024 academic year. Once the family moved to Mar-a-Lago, a 15-year-old Barron switched schools again and was enrolled at the nearby Oxbridge Academy in Palm Beach, Florida. Founded by billionaire William Dwight Koch, in 2011, the school was charging $38,500 for upper school. For the 2023-2024 school year, Donald Trump wasn't shy about venting his anger over the FBI search of his Mar-a-Lago home in August 2022 as part of an investigation into his alleged mishandling of classified documents. In fact, the president was still slamming agents' actions a month later when he alleged to his supporters at a campaign rally that the search unjustly targeted his wife and son. Trump fumed. "They rifled through the First Lady's Closet drawers and everything else, he then added and even did a deep and ugly search of the room of my 16-year-old son, leaving everything they touched in far different condition than it was when they started. Not everyone was buying it. Former federal prosecutor Renato Mariotti questioned Trump's claims in an interview with MSNBC, saying the FBI would only have gone into Barron's room if they had a legitimate reason to do so, he explained. If Trump is storing boxes of classified documents or presidential records in the bedroom of Barron Trump, then he should understand that that's why the Justice Department is searching there while Donald Trump's youngest son has done a good job of staying out of the spotlight. It hasn't made him immune to political attacks. In August 2023, a 41-year-old Chicago woman named Tracy Marie Fiorenza was arrested for allegedly threatening to kill both Barron and his dad. According to the Chicago Tribune, she reportedly showed up at Barron's Florida school, Oxbridge Academy, that March and asked about Barron before a security guard called 911 and had her escorted, but she didn't let up in May. Fiorenza is said to have emailed the school's headmaster and threatened, "I will shoot Donald Trump Sr. and Barron Trump straight in the face at any opportunity that I get." Then in June, she allegedly sent another email writing, "I am going to slam a bullet in Barron Trump's head with his father in self-defense, Theo Renza." Admitted to sending the emails and stood by them. In the end, she was charged that August with transmitting threats to kill or injure another person, which comes with a maximum 5-year prison sentence. Barron Trump going to NYU is making headlines, but it's his cushy living situation as a co-ed that's making him the envy of the Quad. The Trump family waited until Barron was right about to start classes to announce which school he would be attending. In early September 2024, Donald told the Daily Mail that Barron was headed to the Stern School of Business at New York University. That same day, photos circulated of Barron on campus. And naturally, the Secret Service tagged along. In addition to the beefed-up security, the first kid also stood out for his living situation. Instead of staying in the dorms, he's staying home with mom in the Trump's luxury apartment. "It's amazing. I love my home. I could be in my home all the time." A few weeks after Barron's NYU debut, Melania revealed that her son chose to live at home with her at Trump Tower like he did when he was just a boy instead of on campus with other freshmen. It was his decision to come here, that he wants to be New York and study in New York and live in his home. Security concerns likely made it untenable for Barron to live on campus, as simply going to class is a bit of an ordeal. One fellow classmate told the Daily Mail that there were several guards posted outside the door before a class with Barron in it began, and students had to show them their IDs, worried about like Secret Service and everything being on campus, worried, no excited and intrigued. That's incredible for me. It's not just the Secret Service sticking close to Barron. His mother's reportedly been planning to keep close tabs on him too. When Barron was finishing up his senior year of high school, a source at the time spoke about Melania's plans for her only child, telling People magazine that it's possible that she will follow him wherever he goes to school. After living in Mar-a-Lago for years, the First Lady was clearly overjoyed to return to the Big Apple with her son. Good evening, New York City. She posted an ode to the city online just before Barron started classes, posting on X about how New York City captivated her heart the moment she arrived, adding, "This electrifying town isn't just my home, it's a colorful canvas where dreams come alive." Barron Trump spent most of his childhood out of the public eye, but lately we've been seeing a whole lot more of him after rumblings that Barron helped his father on the campaign trail. Everyone's wondering what he's really like. One thing we now know is that Barron was the idea man behind Donald's appearances on several popular podcasts towards the end of the campaign, and the move worked, reeling in a bunch of young male voters that helped put Trump over the top. And he tells me about all the hot guys, people I never heard about, dead. That guy is hot. And it's not just Donald acknowledging Barron's newfound role in the family. Some of his other family members are finally speaking up and offering a peek at what Barron's like behind closed doors. He's so cool. He's like the sleeper a little bit. You know, he's kind of stayed out of the spotlight, probably intentionally talking to Patrick. Bet David on his podcast, BD Laura Trump had a lot more to say, and she wasn't stingy about giving him his due sharing. There have been many times I've been traveling over the course of the campaign with my father-in-law, and Barron will call and he'll say, "Dad, I have an idea as to how you can get more votes." He's always throwing ideas out there. And so, yeah, we got to give Barron some serious credit. Barron's rare ability to influence his dad has proven to be a goldmine for the entire Trump family. However, it's staying out of the spotlight that has made his strategy so profound, as it gives his father the chance to shine something that's the one requirement if you want to stay in the Donald's good graces. However, Laura isn't the only one who is impressed with Barron these days. In October, Donald's campaign advisor Jason Miller praised Barron in an interview on Politico's Playbook Deep Dive podcast, saying, "I got to tell you, hats off to the young man Every single recommendation he's had has turned out to be absolute ratings gold. That's broken the internet. He's done a great job when asked about Barron's dating life now that he's in college. Donald was a bit more cagey in his response. I'm not sure he's there yet. No, I'm not sure I don't think he's had a girlfriend yet. Donald went on to talk about what a good head Barron has on his shoulders, saying he's very smart, he's a good student, and all that. He goes to a great school and does really well, and he's a very nice guy with any luck. That means Barron will learn from both his father's successes and his mistakes, steering clear of scandal and maybe listening to his mother when it comes to certain subjects as he sets out to make his way in the world with an almost 30-year age difference. And different mothers do. Donald Trump's oldest and youngest sons have a brotherly bond. Let's look at the evidence. President Donald Trump has understandably been the subject of considerable public scrutiny over the years. His children have also spent some time in the spotlight, though. Some have gotten more media attention than others, a lot. Of the attention on the Trump kids has focused on their connections with their dad. But the relationships each of his children has with each other are a little fuzzier. Take, for example, Trump's eldest child, Donald Trump Jr., and his youngest, Barron Trump, Donald Trump's oldest and youngest sons, do have some similarities. Most notably, they both grew up without their father as a huge presence in their lives. Each of their mothers have attested that their respective children were primarily raised by them, with Donald himself taking a less than active role. In 2016, Don Jr.'s mother, Ivanka Trump, said that she raised their three children single-handedly, but there are also some stark differences between the two. They were basically born into different worlds. Donald Jr. was born in 1977 to Eva, and Donald Barron was born nearly 30 years later, in 2006 to Donald and his third wife, Melania. Given his father's notorious lack of involvement in his children's lives, it is safe to assume that Barron did not spend much time with his elder half-siblings as he was growing up. However, there have been a few instances when Barron and Don Jr. have been seen interacting. In 2016, the two half-brothers were seen fist-bumping one another at the Republican National Convention in Cleveland. Unsurprisingly, Barron's mother, Melania, sat between them so clearly the two have some sort of bond. In December 2019, Don Jr. made an appearance at a Turning Point USA event, in which, during a rant against Hunter Biden, the son of then-presidential candidate Joe Biden, he said, "And if 13-year-old Barron Trump is not off limits, Hunter Biden sure is not off limits." On a July 9, 2020 radio appearance with right-wing radio talk show host Kurt Schlichter. On the Who Show, Donald Jr. reported that he heard rumblings from liberal circles in New York that big donors to Joe Biden were trying to avoid having the Democratic candidate debate Donald Trump on national TV. Donald Jr. said, because honestly, they know that Joe Biden couldn't debate Barron Trump, let alone Donald Trump. A few days later, Donald Jr. reiterated his point by retweeting an article from the Daily Caller, which reported on a Rasmussen poll that found only 54% of voters said they believed that Joe Biden was capable of debating President Trump. Donald Jr. wrote, in response, repeating himself, "In all fairness, Joe Biden is not capable of debating Barron Trump, let alone Donald Trump."